Hace unos años estuve en el puesto que está en cada uno y pues mi meta siempre fue lograr ese intercambio e irme a otro país y tener esa experiencia académica. Y en algún momento de mi vida pensaba, las notas no nos hacen, pero de alguna manera nos sirven. Entonces, tener un promedio alto les sirve a tener unos beneficios, por lo menos un intercambio académico, una beca socioeconómica. Son esas oportunidades que tenemos a través de nuestras competencias.
Es importante para un profesional que esté bien capacitado y eso pues gracias a lo minuto lo logré hacer.
Bueno, generalmente fue un intercambio que traté, bueno, ese fue mi tercer intento para poder lograr lo que fue mi intercambio a Bulgaria. Después de dos intentos fallidos, pues persistí hasta que en el tercero, que fue el vencido, pude obtener el intercambio. Sin embargo, me pidieron unos requisitos que básicamente fue un promedio alto de 4.2 para poder tener la sustentación, el alojamiento y la universidad. Y además de eso, también lo que fue el nivel de inglés.
Creo que es importante para cualquier egresado seguir capacitándose, seguir de pronto un diplomado, de pronto una especialización, una maestría, lo que nos convenga en cada momento de nuestra vida.
Yo soy un minuto porque básicamente en el énfasis del programa tengo un espíritu emprendedor.
Quiero yo aprender mucho de ellos, gracias a los profesores por esa gestión, a nuestros estudiantes que aprovechen estas oportunidades de conocimiento durante todo este tiempo que va a estar este evento que ha sido organizado, porque considero que estos escenarios de participación extracurricular que se hacen en este marco de la semana académica que organiza Uniminuto, de esta manera pues virtual, ustedes ya saben por el tema de aforo y condiciones, son espacios que debemos aprovechar al máximo. Son espacios que nos permiten desde nuestro lugar de residencia, donde nos encontremos en este momento, pues algunos nos encontramos desde la universidad, ese aprendizaje continuo, ese aprendizaje permanente, es una mirada diferente, una perspectiva del mundo de hoy diferente, y a eso yo los invito. Los invito a poder aprovechar al máximo estos escenarios, a aprovechar al máximo el conocimiento de nuestros invitados, tanto internacionales como nacionales, porque aquí en nuestro país tenemos también muy buenos, profesionales relacionados con esta temática que involucra, como les decía antes, estas dos competencias fundamentales para un profesional del mundo de hoy y del mañana. Entonces, les deseo muchos éxitos en este evento académico, les deseo el mayor aprendizaje y las mejores oportunidades de conocimiento para que las puedan aprovechar. Un feliz resto de día y una excelente y productiva jornada.
Go, Wilmar, go.
Hello everyone again. So welcome ladies and gentlemen. Today is a very special day for our team and university. We are going to have our international congress called Reflections about Educative Technology Applied to the Language Teaching. We are going to have 3 international guests and 1 national guest who are going to share their experience and knowledge related to this topic. We are going to start with Vishal Kumar. He is from India. So let's welcome him. But first, our teacher Yolanda Mendez is going to introduce about his profile.
Good morning, everybody. Vishal Kumar, he is well recognized. He's a well-recognized English teacher with certification in teaching English as a foreign language from Arizona State University. Certification of English level C1 from British Council and a certification of child psychology from King's College London. He has international teaching as a foreign language techniques and language learning, knowledge of phonetics, planning and organizing skills. He organizes online sessions with the schools of other countries such as Poland, Mexico, Spain, and Georgia. Furthermore, mentor students to participate in speech and debate competitions. About his work experience, he has worked in different environments which encourage him to succeed, to grow professionally where he uses his skills and knowledge appropriately. Okay, so we are going to have the opportunity to listen this important English teacher. Okay. Hello, Mr. Vishal.
Give me a second, please.
Okay.
Just plug into the conversation. So please give me a minute. It's from India. So those are a little bit difficult. So give me a second, please. Esperemos un segundo mientras se estabiliza la conexión de nuestro compañero.
Okay, dear participants, we are going to wait for some minutes in order to Mr. Kumar resolve that connectivity problems. And we are going to start with our coordinator, Mr. Edison Osorno. Edison, go ahead.
Thank you very much, dear Yolanda, for all the community. So we ask for you to wait for some minutes in order to start, because people from other countries are in a difficult situation to connect to this conversation. So I'm going to start talking about the technology and languages at Uniminuto Girardot. This first lecture is in Spanish, so I don't need the subtitles. Ok, entonces quiero que hablemos un poco nosotros esta mañana y qué es lo que nos convoca para el trabajo de esta mañana. Pues, como lo decía en nuestra presentación inicial, hablar de tecnología educativa aplicada a la enseñanza de las lenguas, que es uno de los grandes retos que estamos asumiendo hoy desde Uniminuto, en la misma línea de Colombia Very Well, en la misma línea de reconocernos como parte de un enclave importante en el que desarrollamos una experiencia en lenguas que permita que nuestros profesionales obtengan un nivel importante, que puedan destacarse, que pueda hacer esto de la formación en lenguas un plus importante para el profesional de Uniminuto a nivel nacional. Recordemos que el sistema Uniminuto tiene presencia en muchos departamentos del país, más de 100.000 estudiantes, y pues ello nos invita a generar estrategias que realmente impacten en la formación de lenguas. Desde el decreto 1330 de educación superior y desde los lineamientos que vienen trabajándose del Ministerio de Educación, nos han puesto a las instituciones de educación superior un reto muy grande de convertir nuestras instituciones en espacios de formación significativos para las lenguas. Especialmente, y cómo no decirlo, especialmente en lo que tiene que ver con el inglés. Para Uniminuto a nivel nacional ha sido un reto significativo, un reto grande. Y ese reto se ha venido articulando de manera rápida con uno de los potenciales grandes que tiene Uniminuto, que tiene que ver con el desarrollo de tecnología educativa. ¿Por qué? Pues porque nuestra oferta educativa a distancia es grande y además se nos suma 1 año y medio de pandemia, casi 2 años, casi año y medio ya de pandemia, en el que hemos tenido que adaptar todo, volcar todo nuestro proceso formativo a la mediación tecnológica, y ello nos ha generado una gran cantidad de enseñanzas, pero también nos ha ayudado a adquirir una gran cantidad de experiencias, de aparatos, de sistemas, de procesos nuevos que hemos querido articular de manera significativa con la experiencia de inglés. Lo primero que hemos considerado nosotros como importante es entender que la tecnología educativa, un poco antes de la pandemia, pero se hizo robusto durante la pandemia, ha crecido el auge del 2008 para acá, desde que se empezó a hablar de la era digital. Ha sido significativo el crecimiento que se ha tenido sobre el desarrollo de la tecnología, y esa tecnología aplicada al contexto de la educación ha venido generando grandes cambios, transformaciones en lo que es la práctica educativa como tal. Hoy no podemos hablar de una práctica educativa que esté desligada del proceso de acercamiento, de mediación con tecnología, digamos, de los profesores de los más antiguos, los que más estaban cercanos de los modelos tradicionales, hasta los más jóvenes y nuevos que traen en su chip de tecnología. Todos hemos venido implementando importantes paquetes de contenido tecnológico. Y eso pues ha sido muy importante para todos, para las instituciones de educación superior, para las de educación media también, para todo el modelo educativo, y no solo en Colombia, sino alrededor del mundo. En ese auge, nosotros nos hemos querido posicionar como una institución abanderada en procesos de desarrollo tecnológico, entendiendo que la tecnología educativa apunta a ese renglón importante de las TIC, es denominado las TAC, Tecnologías para el Aprendizaje y el Conocimiento, y desde allí la construcción de dispositivos, de interfaces que nos permitan mejorar nuestro proceso formativo. Desde luego, ello implica directamente que se empiece a hablar de un modelo pedagógico transformador para las lenguas, ya que tener las dos junticas, tener la tecnología educativa al servicio de las lenguas, pues no es algo nuevo. Nosotros en Colombia, por ejemplo, hemos escuchado muchísimas experiencias de las grandes marcas de la enseñanza, por ejemplo, la enseñanza del inglés, por así llamarlo, como Cambridge, como Pearson, como las plataformas Oxford, y bueno, hay muchísimas más, ¿no? Berlitz. Y de la mano con ellas, plataformas internacionales que se trabajan en línea, con páginas web en línea, que nos han llevado a tener una gran cantidad, por ejemplo, de aplicaciones que nos permiten generar trabajo académico en habilidades de escucha, de habla, de lectura, de escritura, de conversación. Y eso, pues, digamos que desde hace ya bastantes años para acá, ha sido un andamio muy fuerte en el cual se ha apoyado la formación en lenguas. Nosotros vemos a diario en la televisión nacional, en las redes sociales, muchas nuevas formas de aprender idiomas, y eso pues debe ser aprovechado por los modelos pedagógicos actuales. Es decir, no vamos a competir contra las grandes plataformas de formación en idiomas porque pues no tiene mucho sentido. Lo que sí tiene sentido es que nosotros logremos integrar todos los beneficios de ellas en nuestros propios modelos de pedagogía transformadora para las lenguas. De ello les mostraré en un momento cómo funcionan las interfaces de Uniminuto y cómo nos hemos venido preparando para generar este proceso transformador de la pedagogía. A diario, por ejemplo, vemos la opción de Open English, y de todas ellas tenemos elementos bien importantes, además de los elementos propios del modelo educativo Uniminuto, que nos convierten en una alternativa clara para formarnos en lenguas. Una comprensión importante para desarrollar también en esos primeros pasos, en esta transición hacia un modelo de tecnología educativa aplicada a la enseñanza de las lenguas, ha sido comprendernos como una comunidad educativa global. La misma experiencia creciente de la globalización de la educación nos ha llevado a entender que nosotros tenemos dentro del proceso formativo de las lenguas un compromiso muy importante. Todo el ejercicio, por ejemplo, de internacionalización implica que nosotros tengamos una apertura fuerte al desarrollo de competencias comunicativas en lenguas extranjeras, especialmente en el inglés, que pues, digamos que es el idioma que el país ha indicado que es el que debe marcar el derrotero de la formación en lenguas extranjeras. Y ello entendido dentro de un entorno global, es decir, dentro de la comprensión de que la educación superior hoy debe acercarse mucho más a contextos globales, debe acercarse mucho más a conceptos más universales, más interculturales, más multiculturales, multilingüísticos, porque pues hacia allá va la tendencia del mundo. Hablamos de una era digital que, digamos que es innegable que nos está gobernando, esta era digital, la era del Wi-Fi, todo lo que es la revolución 4.0, que es evidente que la tenemos en todos los rincones de la educación superior, pero también de la vida en general, sumada como tal a la ahora llamada la era de las lenguas. Se ha entendido que las dos, la era digital y la era de las lenguas, deben avanzar mancomunadamente, buscando, por un lado, una tendencia de digitalización mundial, pero también una tendencia de comunicación global a partir de una lengua que a la fecha, 21 de septiembre de 2021, podríamos entender que es el inglés. Para hablar un poco de lo que es la tecnología educativa y esas competencias digitales, recuerdo hace unos meses hablábamos en una charla aquí en Uniminuto sobre el DICOM y el European Digital Competence Framework. Hablábamos de todo lo que es la disposición de competencias digitales a nivel mundial, lo que es el marco común europeo, el marco común de competencias digitales. Hablamos de la definición de lo que es una competencia digital, y oído a esto nos toca hablar de la mano de la tecnología educativa competencia digital con el aprendizaje de las lenguas. Les mencionaba, están estrechamente ligadas. Y aquí unas definiciones de lo que se ha entendido hoy como competencia digital, que pues es lo que buscamos desarrollar desde esta tecnología educativa implementada desde Uniminuto. Una competencia digital definida como el uso crítico y seguro de tecnologías de la sociedad de la información para el trabajo, ocio y para el caso de los idiomas para la comunicación. Ella supone esa competencia, en ser competente tecnológicamente hablando, supone un conjunto de conocimientos, habilidades, actitudes, estrategias, aprendizajes para el contexto educativo necesarios para generar, para mejorar, para optimizar el uso de medios digitales y, por ejemplo, para abordar, tengo estudiantes aquí de diferentes modalidades, abordar, por ejemplo, paradigmas de educación a distancia, ahora mediada por tecnología, abordar el uso de tecnología en la educación presencial, que también son nuevas formas de entender el impacto de la tecnología educativa. Y esa competencia digital que plantea procesos de recuperación, evaluación, almacenamiento, producción, presentación e intercambio de información necesaria para hacer colaboración en red, para hacer aprendizaje en red. Y desde allí, pues lo que decía el European Parliament and the Council, integrar contenidos, esfuerzos, procesos, programas para mejorar el proceso educativo. Es decir, tecnología para el aprendizaje las tecnologías para el aprendizaje y la comprensión como un elemento fundamental para generar todos los procesos formativos de manera situada, pero también de manera autónoma, como se viene haciendo en el aprendizaje de las lenguas. Es innegable que muchos de nosotros hemos aprendido lo básico de las lenguas en espacios formales, en la universidad, institutos, colegios y demás, pero sin lugar a dudas, el desarrollo de aprendizaje autónomo que se viene generando desde competencias digitales que permiten el aprendizaje, el desarrollo autónomo, la autoformación, nos vienen ayudando muchísimo a apalancar el alcance de competencias comunicativas en mucho mayor nivel. Aquí rápidamente, pues una muestra de cuáles son las 5 áreas de las que habla el estándar de tecnologías, la comunicación y colaboración, la creación de contenidos digitales, que es abordada hoy desde Uniminuto como un reto importante en la construcción de interfaces.
Compartir la pantalla para que se vea la presentación.
¿Perdón? ¿Me hablas?
No se ve la presentación, pero debe compartir la pantalla. Sí, señor, que debe compartir la pantalla para que se
está compartida, ¿no?
La presentación de PowerPoint.
Sí, yo sí la veo.
No,
sí se ve, claro.
No, en el YouTube yo no la veo, pero en YouTube no. Está compartida en Teams, pero en YouTube no.
Ah, ok. Disculpen un segundo.
Ok, sí. Tienes razón. You're right.
¿That's it? Ok. O sea, no vieron todo lo anterior. Bien, dale, no importa. Continuamos. Entonces, estas son las 5 áreas en las que se encuentran ubicadas esas competencias.
No, señor, lo otro que no se vio. Lo otro no se vio.
Ok. Sí, rápidamente, pues aquí cuando les hablaba de los primeros pasos, el auge, la tecnología en auge, la pedagogía transformadora, las comunidades educativas globales y la simbiosis entre era digital y era de las lenguas. Aquí un poco de lo que mencionaba sobre los conceptos de tecnología educativa y competencias digitales. Y aquí no voy tan adelante, hablando sobre las 5 áreas y las 21 competencias digitales que están vinculadas al aprendizaje en términos generales a las tecnologías para el aprendizaje y la comprensión, y que ahora observamos desde un estándar que es muy conocido para todos los que estamos en el contexto de las lenguas, que es el estándar del marco común europeo de referencia, del Common European Framework, que pues nos ha enseñado, yo creo que ya todos los que estamos aquí reunidos en esta conferencia ya sabemos más o menos en qué nivel de inglés estamos, ¿no? Usted ya puede allá desde casa, los compañeros que están conectados también. No, yo soy B1, yo soy un B2, yo quiero ser un C1, quiero ser un C2, soy una 2, soy una 1, hice mi diagnóstico, tengo que llegar a la 1, a la 2, eso ya digamos que ya son 6 escalas dentro del marco común, que ya para todos son muy conocidas, y pues que están agrupadas en tres grandes espacios. El primero, el del Basic User, el Breakthrough y el Way Stage, que son los que hablan del nivel básico de competencias. Luego el que digamos que se busca que todos los estudiantes de universidades en el país alcancen, no solamente los de pregrado, los de maestría, sino también los estudiantes de pregrado, y así lo tiene trazado Uniminuto dentro de su ruta, que son el Threshold y el Vantage, que son los niveles de Independent User, el B1 y el B2, que implican que usted tiene unas competencias que le permiten acceder a procesos formativos, a contenidos informativos y formativos en lengua extranjera. Y por supuesto, si usted quiere acceder a becas internacionales, a ponencias, a hacer otro tipo de gestiones del conocimiento, lo que es el Proficient User, el EOP y el Mastery, que son el C1 y el C2, que son dominios de la lengua muy cercanos al dominio de los nativos. Y desde luego hay que decirlo, el Common European Framework o el marco común europeo de referencia aplica no solamente para la lengua inglesa, sino para, digamos, un gran contenido de lenguas que han sido allí clasificadas dentro de esos dominios de competencia. Les invito, si tienen alguna pregunta, que la escriban en el chat algún comentario, lo escriban en el chat de YouTube y luego podemos discutir un poco sobre el tema. Ahora abordémoslo desde la perspectiva de Uniminuto. ¿Cómo se viene dando este proceso del dominio de las lenguas en Uniminuto? Pues es muy sencillo. Nosotros hemos desde el año 2020, finales de 2019, estableciendo para nuestro sistema Uniminuto una ruta académica para la transformación de los aprendizajes en lengua extranjera inglés. Una ruta que ha sido socializada por todo el país y que, digamos que tiene ya la mirada puesta de muchas instituciones, no solamente de Uniminuto, sino de muchos estamentos educativos, establecimientos educativos, instituciones, corporaciones, que están viendo cómo esta ruta atiende las necesidades de formación de grandes grupos de estudiantes por medio de interfaces, por medio de dispositivos que permiten el aprendizaje situado, guiado, pero también el aprendizaje autónomo de una manera óptima. Y cómo la ruta también permite el generar transformaciones en el proceso formativo, transformaciones en el proceso en que los estudiantes avanzan dentro del estándar del marco común europeo y se certifican a nivel institucional. Nosotros no tenemos mucho éxito si pensamos que diciendo que tenemos el B1 en el último nivel de formación, nuestros estudiantes van a salir en nivel B1. Pues digamos que eso es utópico, ¿no? Pensar que eso ocurra. O era utópico antes de la ruta. Ahora, con un proceso optimizado en que tenemos todo nuestro aparataje allí y toda nuestra estructura volcada hacia la formación en lenguas, podemos decir que, si bien no el 100% de nuestros estudiantes terminarán con la meta del B1.2, cercano al B2, en nuestra formación en inglés al terminar los programas de pregrado de Uniminuto, sí podemos decir que van a estar muy cerca, gracias a que desde la ruta se permite un ejercicio de diagnóstico permanente, un ejercicio de construcción permanente que obviamente nos debe llevar a una transformación de los aprendizajes. Transformación de los aprendizajes implica que nosotros tengamos no solamente tecnología educativa, que de hecho la tenemos de buena manera, sino que también tengamos unas estructuras de pensamiento diferentes. Aquí pues está el camino de la ruta, tenemos varios niveles en los cuales se destacan distintos procesos de exámenes de clasificación. Bueno, y el mundo lo ha dicho, el estándar internacional lo ha dicho. Nosotros necesitamos formar, pero también necesitamos conocer cuál es el estado del aprendizaje de la lengua, sobre todo en un país en el que tenemos una mínima interacción con una lengua extranjera. Nosotros enfrentamos, por ejemplo, 4 horas de clase, 2 horas de clase a tremendas cantidades de horas sin interacción en inglés. Uno de los grandes logros de esta ruta es incrementar la cantidad de horas de contacto del estudiante con el inglés, lo cual nos parece que es fundamental para poder crear cualquier proceso de transformación, sobre todo en habilidades que históricamente han sido vistas no, desde una perspectiva no tan académica. Hay que decirlo, nosotros tenemos una orientación muy clara de que en nuestros niveles tenemos B1, B2 algunos en nivel de lectura y escritura, no tanto así en habla y escucha. Entonces, la ruta permite que se genere aprendizaje, se genere desarrollo de competencias en las 4 habilidades. Y ello pues también es otro de los plus importantes dentro del ejercicio. Y por supuesto, cómo no decirlo, que nuestro estudiante al terminar el proceso formativo tenga una certificación de nivel de inglés que le permita no solo decir la tengo en papel, sino que realmente represente un nivel de desarrollo de competencia comunicativa en alto nivel. Esa es una preocupación grande que tiene Uniminuto y es una tarea que se viene dando en todo el país con mucha fuerza en el establecimiento del paso a paso de esta ruta académica para la transformación. Hablaba, pedagogía transformadora. Entonces, tecnología, formación de profesores, oportunidades de internacionalización. Queremos ver más y más estudiantes nuestros accediendo a becas. Ayer, una cuestión bien curiosa, ayer se cerraba una convocatoria para estudiantes que tuvieran nivel B1 para becas internacionales en Estados Unidos. Y pues nos costó un poco identificar los estudiantes que postulábamos por Cundinamarca, pues porque no tenemos la cultura de ser certificados. Ahora, con la ruta vamos a tener la oportunidad de estar certificados en el nivel de inglés, y esa certificación debe servirnos también para acceder a todas esas nuevas oportunidades. ¿Cómo está estructurada la formación en lenguas para Uniminuto? Entonces, les mencionaba 3 de los elementos: la tecnología educativa, que está enfocada en la construcción de dispositivos, en facilitar interfaces que permitan una mejor integración entre el estudiante, la plataforma virtual, el aula virtual, el profesor y, digamos, todo el mundo que se puede generar desde el establecimiento de procesos de metadata y demás, todo lo que podemos integrar al proceso de esas experiencias. Y que no solamente estoy hablando de la interacción con aparatos, estamos hablando de cómo podemos, desde este ejercicio, poder generar también integración, por ejemplo, en clases espejo, en Collaborative Online Integrate, International Learning Processes, el famoso COIL, o los Flip Learning o el Blend Learning, cómo podemos integrar una gran cantidad de procesos a partir de la construcción de dispositivos y el poder facilitar las interfaces necesarias para que ello ocurra. Lo digo de esta manera pues porque hoy estamos hablando de tecnología educativa. Bien, la siguiente es la formación de profesores, una formación de profesores que ya empieza a apuntar no solamente a que el profesor de inglés sea el que domine la lengua dentro de los espacios educativos, sino que toda la comunidad de profesores se forme en inglés. Al profe de inglés le estamos diciendo, se forma en inglés, pero también se va a formar en didáctica del inglés y va a obtener certificaciones de didáctica del inglés, que también son muy válidas. Desde la experiencia de Unicorporativa, por ejemplo, tenemos cursos permanentes de idiomas para nuestros profesores, facilitando procesos de aprendizaje y certificación. Vamos a entender que son 2 cosas que van de la mano, el aprendizaje y la certificación. Esa formación de profesores que viene fortaleciéndose en todo el país. El diseño de un modelo centrado en estándares. Obviamente hemos logrado volcar todo nuestro proceso de enseñanza, todo nuestro proceso de aprendizaje, pero desde una perspectiva más curricular, todo el modelo centrado en los 2 estándares, en el estándar de competencia digital y en el estándar del marco común europeo de referencia. Ello para que puedan, como les decía, hacer esa simbiosis e ir creciendo de la mano. Mientras más oportunidades tenga la persona, en el caso particular de los estudiantes, de integrarse en procesos bilingües o multilingües, pues mayor va a ser el potencial de aprendizaje. Entonces, y ese aprendizaje, si lo queremos certificar, como lo he venido diciendo y repitiendo, pues debe estar centrado en esos estándares. No podemos ir nosotros en la formación por un lado y el marco común por otro. No, debemos estar integrados para poder fortalecernos de manera correcta en el plano de la interculturalidad y la globalidad. Por supuesto, hablar de tanto de certificaciones implica que haya una estructura de diagnóstico permanente. Nosotros en la ruta para la transformación de aprendizajes de la lengua extranjera inglés, en Uniminuto tenemos un ejercicio de diagnóstico inicial, diagnóstico de entrada, con una prueba estandarizada que nos dice en qué nivel llegan nuestros estudiantes. De resultados no les voy a hablar ahora, pues aquí hay estudiantes, muchos, que a la mayoría de que están conectados ya pasaron por este primer ejercicio, y allí tenemos un primer proceso de nivelación para los estudiantes que no tienen la competencia, que no la traen, y entran también en el semestre a semestre, en el nivel por nivel, haciendo un ejercicio de diagnóstico con certificación. Diagnóstico con certificación, que implica que el estudiante y el profesor, bueno, y en los programas tienen información clara sobre cómo ha sido el avance en el alcance de los dominios de competencia de las lenguas. Ello implica que cada vez que termina un curso de inglés, cada vez que termina un semestre de inglés, es necesario generar un diagnóstico, y cuando se termina todo el proceso, es necesario presentarse y generar un ejercicio de certificación de nivel que esté estandarizado. Eso es para tenerlo muy en cuenta. Y por supuesto, hacia donde avanza en este momento el Centro Regional Girardot, el Centro Tutorial de la Mesa, avanzamos hacia la construcción, consolidación para el año 2023 de un centro de idiomas. Esto es una primicia que damos aquí en este evento, y es que ya Uniminuto está sentando las primeras bases para la construcción de su propio centro de idiomas de la sede de Cundinamarca, que tendrá inicialmente sede en Girardot y en Soacha, posteriormente en Zipaquirá y luego luego en Madrid. Inicialmente, pues en Girardot tenemos ya una estructura pensada para una importante cantidad de procesos formativos en el centro de idiomas, no solamente en inglés, sino también en francés, portugués, alemán, italiano, chino y todo lo que se requiera para que nuestros estudiantes desarrollen competencias multilingüísticas. Y por supuesto, para que nos sirva como centro de certificación y tengamos una independencia en el test taking, en todo el tema de examiners, que no la tenemos en este momento y que dependemos de Bogotá. Aquí en la región no tenemos un examiner, un test taker que entregue certificados que no sean en línea, obviamente, certificados de nivel de inglés desde centros de idiomas. El más cercano está en Ibagué. Nosotros lo queremos tener para Girardot, es una primicia que les doy. Para 2023 ya estaremos hablando de esos centros de idiomas, de ese centro de idiomas. Esta es un ejemplo, esta es una muestra sencillita de lo que es nuestra aula virtual, que es el espacio, digamos, que hemos logrado consolidar para formar todo nuestro proceso de integración entre tecnología educativa y formación en lenguas. Desde el entorno mismo, desde la interfaz misma, nos damos cuenta que tiene unas particularidades bien especiales. Eso es un producto 100% de Uniminuto, del campus virtual de Uniminuto. Incluso los audios, los videos y todo lo demás fueron diseñados, fueron elaborados por nuestros profesores nativos de inglés. Los profes nativos hicieron todos los videos de explicación y demás. Tenemos una colección de ebooks que está aquí para quienes están estudiando en esta interfaz en este momento, y quienes no, pues, y lo vayan a hacer, lo pueden ver de esa manera. Tenemos unos ebooks, unos libros electrónicos bien interesantes. Tenemos el proceso formativo desde slides bien interesante. Tenemos el virtual tutoring, tenemos un profesor en línea que todo el tiempo nos está ayudando. Desarrollamos procesos de proyectos comunicativos de manera permanente, y bueno, toda una gran cantidad por ejemplo, tenemos un paquete de juegos, aquí está muy interesante también, desde el Scrum, y toda esta interfaz está al alcance de la mano de los estudiantes. Este es el aula, parece un aula de juego, parece un aula de un curso avanzado, y lo es un curso avanzado de inglés, pero ese es el entorno en el que estudian nuestros estudiantes, los estudiantes de pregrado y de posgrado estudian en estos entornos, que son entornos que son bastante interesantes. Hemos mostrado esta experiencia de interfaz, esta experiencia de dispositivos para el aprendizaje en diversos espacios, y pues la verdad han llamado mucho la atención, no solo pues por el entorno visual, sino porque realmente opera de una manera muy significativa hacia el alcance de las competencias, y tiene alternativas para el desarrollo de todas las habilidades también. Entonces, si usted ya utiliza esta plataforma, le invitamos a que observe todos los beneficios de esta plataforma, que usted vea cómo se puede trabajar desde ella, que va a ser pues el espacio habilitado para todos los estudiantes. Otra de las primicias que les puedo dar es que desde el 2022 vamos a tener cursos permanentes de inglés con propósitos específicos en los MOOC de Uniminuto. Para quienes no están familiarizados con el concepto de MOOC, un MOOC es un Massive Open Online Course, un curso abierto en línea masivo de inglés con propósitos específicos para que usted pueda estarse formando en lenguas todo el proceso, todo el tiempo. Nuestros graduados que no tuvieron la oportunidad de pasar por esta ruta también van a tener la oportunidad de formarse con esta misma interfaz, formarse en los MOOC de manera permanente y de manera gratuita, por supuesto, para toda la comunidad de Uniminuto. Esa es otra primicia que tenía para darles hoy. Y para los estudiantes de la licenciatura licenciatura en lenguas extranjeras con énfasis en inglés. Espero que estén aquí conectados algunos de ellos. También tendremos una interfaz desde el 2022 de la mano con la plataforma Pearson, My English Lab, en las dos punticas, 1 minuto, y la plataforma My English Lab de Pearson Education Colombia, juntos una plataforma específica para formar licenciados, para formar profesionales en la educación en lenguas extranjeras, tanto para inglés como para francés y portugués, que son las lenguas de énfasis de nuestro programa académico. Entonces, ahí les voy dejando todas estas primicias para que las vayan viendo. Ahora, ¿cuáles son los resultados que hemos tenido? Bueno, yo creo que resultados tendríamos que hablar de que estamos empezando nosotros nuestro proceso, pero ya tenemos un ejercicio de apropiación de las TAC bastante significativo. Les mostraba las interfaces, les mostraba un poco los dispositivos. Consideramos que son una oportunidad grande de aprendizaje. Igual toca seguir trabajando en su posicionamiento, su perfeccionamiento, como les decía, la búsqueda de aliados estratégicos como Pearson, Cambridge, Berlitz y todos los amigos que por convenio tienen 1 minuto y que nos pueden ayudar a robustecer todo este ejercicio de tecnología aplicada a la enseñanza de las lenguas. Ello viene generando ya como resultado la vinculación de lo digital, los lenguajes, la cultura y la globalidad. Nosotros queremos incrementar, y aquí lo decimos abiertamente, queremos incrementar las oportunidades de movilidad académica, de internacionalización en países de habla inglesa, de habla francesa, de habla portuguesa. Los hemos tenido estudiantes en Brasil, en Francia, en República Checa, en Bélgica, en Estados Unidos, en Canadá, pero queremos que sean más estudiantes los que accedan a estas oportunidades, que se abren desde luego desde el alcance de competencias lingüísticas en alto nivel. La construcción de una autonomía tecnológica para aprender lenguas, que es una de las proyecciones que tenemos, como estas interfaces y demás se van volcando más hacia que el estudiante aprenda de manera autónoma, y cómo podemos nosotros generar un ambiente para que ese aprendizaje sea significativo. Y la proyección, por supuesto, seguir con la tarea de motivar la innovación y la exploración de nuevas estructuras de aprendizaje para las lenguas y para todo lo demás, no solo para las lenguas, como un ejercicio, como una prueba del compromiso que tiene 1 minuto con la formación de calidad en nuestras regiones. Yo voy a terminar por aquí, se ha terminado mi tiempo. Mi nombre es Edison Osorno Buitrago y ese es mi correo electrónico por si tienen algún requerimiento, eosorno@uniminuto.edu. Si tienen alguna pregunta, la colocan allí o algún comentario lo colocan en YouTube. Les pido que por favor lo coloquen asociado con un número de teléfono o con un correo electrónico para poderles dar respuesta. My dear partners, dear Wilmar, dear Yolanda, so thank you very much for this time. It was a really great opportunity to share this information with the community. So I hope so the rest of my co-workers for today are ready. I don't know, I suppose that yes. So thank you very much for all of you, and continue with this interesting process. Bye.
Okay, Edison, as always, thank you so much for your meaningful and useful speech, because it's I think it's very useful for our future students who wants to start their language learning process with us, because you have given us a very important information and specific data for us and for them as well. Okay, thank you so much. I don't know, Edison, if Mr. Vishal Kumar is ready. I don't know if he's ready, or if you decide we can move to Maha. We can start where we can continue with Maha. Olender.
Lo que está diciendo yo no se escucha porque no le han dado el directo, solamente se escucha lo que dice el profe Edison.
Yes, really?
Sí, señor, tiene que pasarle el directo, que se le ponga ya rojo donde dice en directo, si no solamente
tiene que abrir la cámara para que yo la pueda pasar.
Hay que decir es quién es el siguiente participante para presentarlo de una vez. ¿Quién está listo?
Abre tu cámara, porfa, para poderlos poner arriba. Tienen que tener la cámara activada.
So, Wilmar, couldn't you listen to me? Okay.
Ahora sí. Yes, yes.
Okay, Edison, I said I appreciate a lot your participation, Edison. Thank you so much because your speech was very meaningful and interesting for our future students who want to start their language learning process with us. Okay, thank you so much. So we are going to continue with, I don't know, Edison, could you check if Mr. Vishal Kumar is ready, or we can continue with Maha?
Give me a second.
Olender. Okay, thank you. Wilmer, please tell me if you can see my screen in both YouTube and this meeting.
Quiero comentarles que la situación que se presenta es les comento que la situación que se presenta es que desde esta plataforma se generan subtítulos en español. Las conferencias son en inglés, por tanto, pues para poder dar una mejor comunicación con todos ustedes que no tengan el dominio del inglés, pues entonces esta plataforma genera los subtítulos en inglés, por eso está un poco congestionado el proceso. Nosotros normalmente utilizamos otro tipo de plataformas, pero esas no nos ofrecen la traducción simultánea, que nos parece importante para que podamos optimizar nuestro aprendizaje en este proceso. Entonces, nos toca conectarlos uno a uno, eso nos tarda más o menos entre 5 y 10 minutos, pero pues esperamos que puedan tomar un break de 2 minutitos y ya iniciamos con nuestro siguiente invitado.
Okay, thank you, Edison. Okay, we are here, waiting for our guests.
For guests right now.
Okay, we are going to continue with Alessa, right?
Teacher Alessa, are you here?
Good evening. Good evening. Good morning for you. Yes, I'm here.
Good morning, dear Lisa. It's a big pleasure for us to share this time with you. So,
Good morning.
so thank you very much
Okay,
for
good
waiting.
morning.
Thank you very much for waiting.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, Edison and everybody. Alessa Dorgayan, she's an English as a second language teacher. English as a foreign language and English for a specific purpose trainer. A PhD at Armenian State Pedagogical University. She took a master in the fields of psychology and foreign languages. She's an English as a second language teacher at a Rasdan Basic School. I don't know if my pronunciation is good. And English as a second language, English as a second language trainer, lecturer at ELTE University in Czech Republic. She has taken part in many different international conferences as a speaker in different international projects as an English as a foreign language trainer. She's also the author of many scientific articles in the field of teaching English as a second foreign language and pedagogy. Currently, she is a volunteer in different international projects and companies. Currently, she is specialized and working on the problem of teacher training on the virtual platform, preparing a model of teacher training. Okay, welcome, teacher Alessa.
Yes, good morning. As I have mentioned to you, it's good evening for me, but good morning for you. I am very glad to be here and also to share my experience in this field. Today I am going to talk and also to represent my opinion and also my experience in the field of using information and also new technologies in learning. Before I will start, just a minute, I will try to share my screen and please tell me if you see my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay,
right.
Great.
Yeah, we can see it here.
Yes, before I will represent my opinion in this field, first of all, I would like to share my experience in this field. About 3-4 years ago, I started a new topic for my PhD, sharing and also observing the topic of virtual platform, how can we use different kinds of technologies, especially in the field of learning. At first, it was a little bit difficult, especially during the lesson process, because we usually just are used to traditional education, and also traditional education, we wanted to have face-to-face communication to see each other, and in this case, we try just to observe and know everything when we communicate, when we touch, when we just, let's say, feel everything. And using these technologies at first, like any kind of new thing, when something we just input to our work, at first it always is criticized by many people, especially by the ones who just don't want just accept that the word is developing, that we have to work with the word's development. And the same was also about the ICT and usage of technology, especially in the field of education. At first, when I started my observations in this field, it was very difficult for me because, first of all, it has different kinds of disadvantages, starting with the input, with acceptance, with also info, and some kinds of brief description with the technologies. The students didn't want, for example, to use the platform of Zoom or then Microsoft Teams, saying that these technologies they don't need, they want to have face-to-face lessons. And the observation in this field, certainly the I just faced different kinds of difficulties in this field. But then when the pandemic situation began, everything has changed because we just, in some cases, if there were any opportunity before the pandemic situation, just to have always face to face and not to base on technologies and the usage of them. Uh, Due to these pandemic situations, the privilege and also the preference of using technologies has increased because let's say that we haven't had any kind of other choices or opportunities just to have and also just to have and conduct our lessons in education field and the demand of using ICT has just increased. Many schools, many training centers, all the nearly 90% of teachers started using it. At that time, I tried to do different kinds of observation about finding out was it a useful one usage of ICT or not. I can just prove that the index of usage of ICT was really different. If it was, for example, the teachers of 35% of the participants of my observation before the pandemic situation, they agreed or sometimes in any cases use ICT technologies. In this case, after during the pandemic situation, it has increased from 35% to about 65 to 70%. And what was interesting, the third stage of my observation was about are you going to use these technologies after the pandemic situation when you are back? And what was interesting that the 90% of the participants of my observations they just agreed to use these technologies after the COVID situation. But now, before starting and before representing and also speaking about the result of such kind of technologies, the usage of such kind of technologies, let's try to just find out what is ICT, especially applied to language teaching. Is it a useful one? Can it be just beneficial one or demanding one, or it's just something that we can only use in our everyday life? Let's start from the one that what is it? First of all, ICT we just have as information and communication technologies. As we open the bracket about the abbreviation of this word, we can just say that it gives information. It also at the same time it provides a communication. And when we miss, it's just using the tool for it. It makes our lessons more effective, more interesting, and more has more and more advantages in this field because it can be used in different kinds of fields in our life. It can just keep in touch students and teachers, not only face to face, but also we can have it on the virtual platform. For example, I'm working in different kinds of countries, and due to these technologies, every day I have an opportunity, for example, virtually travel to another country, school, college, or university, and conduct my lesson with foreign students. And also at the same time, I'm able just to have also trainings, get any kind of information, and also using these technologies, I can just attend any kind of conference. And as an example and improvement is this conference because now I am in Armenia, you are in Colombia, but using this ICT, I am just able to be here and share my experience and knowledge in this sphere. And also it gives us a potential and significant progress in language. For example, I can have cooperation, different kinds of cooperation programs with different countries. For example, today morning, I have a cooperation with one of the Indian schools, Ramaida School in Dadri, and my sixth grade students and Ramaida School sixth grade students, we have a cooperation project together. And during the lesson, we could not only have progress, could speak, have a real communication with each other, but also we could just communicate and use different kinds of technologies like presentation can be it, if there was a video which a voice message we can just use and send to each other. And also, for example, we were using the Zoom platform, and during this Zoom platform, we have breakout rooms, and Armenian and Indian students could communicate to each other. And also, we can say about the most important thing about the computer because it always has different kinds of programs, and through the networks, through the internet, we can just connect and study, learn, and gain new and new skills, experience, and knowledge in our field. And let's say that it's sometimes in education, it can be just a point like an information and communication, and it includes different kinds of tools. It can include different kinds of knowledge, communication types, different kinds of even electronic books. They are also considered to be as one of the types of information and communication technologies, which gives all the students and also teachers just to communicate to gain new and new knowledge in this sphere. We sometimes we say that in some for some people it's going to be like a necessity in our life, and we can just say that the usage of ICT in education just is required. It's a process that can be in the center of interest of many different kinds of researchers, scholars, scientists, any people who is interested not only in education but also in different kinds of fields. But nowadays, at this moment, we are speaking about education. That's why we are going to gain to explain and also to observe the importance of using ICT, especially in language teaching and also in language learning just process. And it can be just in different kind of spheres, like finding learning materials, for example, from the original and the sources and recognize. In some cases, we can just say that the use of technology in learning is familiar to everyone, especially, for example, in the field of education, because everything, if we work, at first we gain a knowledge, we learn something, we study, have our just degree or profession after graduating the university. But during it, at first, everything we start from the learning and studying. And the development of technology just information is extremely useful for both teachers and for also for students because it can help students to increase their ability in listening, reading, speaking, or even in writing. And use of technology as a medium of instruction, it was able to improve the result of the study of language. For example, we can use different kinds of audio lingual or just audio records in to improve the result of the study of language learning. Or, for example, I can have a pen pal friends from different countries in order to develop my speaking skills. And from this, in this case, the base is technology and usage of different kinds of technological tools. And it's just like a necessity, and it has been just part of an effort just improve learning outcomes. And here we sometimes have benefit of ICT in language teaching, and it can be a real life learning, a reality of virtuality. It comes about, first of all, speaks about the thing that everything that we have in our real life, language teachers need to focus on the use of language. And in this case, the ICTs, the usage of technologies just makes for us to do it so, especially after the use internet of as a didactic tool. Because in sometimes we need some information. For example, in my textbook, I can have a text about Scotland or just London or Britain. For it, in order I can read, I can write something, I can find something, but every information, for the whole information, I can just Google or search in the Google and find a very interesting story or just video about Britain or London or just Scotland and show my students. And everything from real life that my students are here in the classroom, they don't have an opportunity to go to Scotland to see everything. But due to internet, due to technologies, our students can just transfer to another field through video, or they can just have the view of Scotland really with through the video. And also, it's bringing a sense of reality. Also contributes just to facilitate learners be less dependent, fostering their autonomy. For example, it can just have created an intense demand on the teacher to be selective. Because to tell the trees, for example, from the forest, or to adapt the wide variety of resources for students. And while we just removing the virtuality to our reality life, or the vice versa, it should be meaningful learning. For example, I can just search any kind of video input in my lesson, and without any kind of objectives and without any kind of aim in this case. No, everything that I put, every kind of tool or technologies that I'm going to use, it should have a meaning for learning, because I can just use any kind of technology, for example, computer, but with meaningless learning, and in this case, my results will be lower. But if I for my lessons, we'll choose the appropriate technology in order to represent it. In this case, it will be just a very useful one, because I can use any kind of, for example, Kahoot. I can use it in order to play, to make interest, to put any kind of motivation or inspiration for my students in order to be interested in my lessons, especially when being a language teacher. Sometimes we have to do everything in order to increase the interest of our students in their just having in their language teaching sphere. That's why sometimes, in order not to make any kind of let's say input of new technologies, at the same time we should pay attention to its just meaningful learning. Is it useful for my lesson? Is it just have a real just power or just strength in order to increase the results of just to score higher for my learning? And that's why the presence of a virtual environment just proves to be attractive. The main goal is to make it last beyond the mere visual impact. In other words, make it memorable, more impressive, or more successful my lesson. Why not? I can use different kinds of technologies in order to make my learning very impressive one. Just imagine, I'm going to teach my students about how to write informal letters. And for it, I can use a very simple one. I can take and ask one of my students to have a voice message about their school, and then I can just remove this voice message into a letter form and try to input, and according to his letter I can just explain about the importance of and also how to write informal letter. And after it I can just say that it will be more interesting, more inspiring for my students, because they are going to write, especially if I will have a project with other schools, it will be more and more interesting for my students, because I will know that while teaching them how to write informal letters. At the same time, my learning, my teaching is meaningful because my students really are interested in these lessons. And just in this case, I know that in this case I will just succeed because everything will be just okay for them to see, to listen, to learn, and also to practice. And that's why, in some cases, we teachers need to know everything, need to know nearly to know different kinds of tools, technology types in order to choose and use the appropriate technology for making our learning meaningful. And teacher's attitude may allow a role of a teacher as an average user, just not a master one. I can't be, for example, a master in every field, in every tool. That's why I just can have an information and have an ability to know everything a little, and everything I can just improve from time to time, everything. And in this case, it's very important the teacher rules because redefinition of literacy, it's not easy, for example, to be up to date and every day because as I have mentioned, words improves, words develops. There are every day we can just have new and new devices, new and new technological tools, and it demands more and more time, especially for us teachers who are always we are very busy just with our lessons, planning for our trainings, etc. And that's why we also need to be available and adapted to such kind of tools to know how to can we can use. And in some cases, just this simple lack of reliability, for example, in some cases we can't be very proficient one is the role of teacher, and it gives just it can be the single most understanding just obstacle for our students to the one that it can be used with meaning without any kind of just things that we don't understand or with in some cases we even have to just pay attention to it that it can be potential and also significant progress in our language teaching. That's why it's very important one, maybe one of the most important points to know how to use them and also be able to choose the most appropriate ones that will be available and successful one and can just have give our students score higher and higher after using it. And why not only the students but also the teachers too. In our society, we sometimes we say that it can be English language teaching. It can be just one best. We can just try to find one best method for teaching or for learning a foreign language. Especially, for example, if we deal with we are foreigners and English language is a foreign language for us. We try to it, and there are different kinds of methods. Grammar translation method can be the silent way or community language or communicative approach, etc. We can just have different kinds of ones which can be called, and in some cases we just have as a call CALL like computer assisted language learning, which just gives us that learning language in this case strongly supports, in some cases, just gives an opportunity to improve efficiency and also effectiveness of the language studies. In other words, we can just say that in this field, it's inevitable known that ICT and also language learning are just two aspects which support each other like two sides of the coin. Sometimes we can say that in one case we can learn the language and from the other case we can just use the ICT in order just to cooperate and in order to have the result we usually expect to get from this mixture. And this field just we can say that unfortunately, the use of the computer, different kinds of technologies has increased, especially in the field of language learning, because also seems that more than other media can encourage students in learning language. Just imagine, I can describe or just if there's something, but on the other case, I can just use videos, audios, presentations, cooperation between two and more countries. And in this case, I can just say that my lessons will be more and more successful one, and for the students will be more and more inspired and motivated in learning language. And I can use different types of them. And first of all, it should be called just an e-learning, which includes nearly all the levels. We can't say that we start from the beginner level and we don't need internet on something. No, even we can, for practicing our pronunciation, we can just have more and more audios, even how to spell the letters, how to spell different kinds of syllables, or just short words, phrases, and everything. We can just do it through e-learning, and different kinds of materials that we can find through internet, on YouTube or on Google or in some other places, how to learn. Even if we Google a search, for example, how can I learn English language, it will be many sources where we can just enter, go through and find a necessary information for us to know how can we use it. In some cases, or we can say that all this information can be in audio or it can be in through the electronic books. And in some cases, it's also very required one. Based on the use of it, it can be applied in three different scopes, such as curriculum in some cases, topics, and also teaching aids. And finding learning materials from the original sources and recognize. It also helps us to find more and more materials and to having more and more practices, and why not with the electronic sources, but also through the electronic books, because many textbooks you can find on the through internet, and you can just download them, even having their audios, you can just listen and listen. Or if we are not on the level of beginners, a little bit higher, we can find books, audio books, which are also very useful one. And we can just listen, not to read these ones, but also listen the audio one, which gives us to develop our listening skills. But at the same time, we can just by listening pronounce some words and try all these words to remember how is their pronunciation is. And all the information we can just present in a short time, just using the internet. For example, I can search, find information about any kind of topic I am interested in, and I can, in these cases, can print and can be used as learning materials. Or I'm going to give my students a test and can find different kinds of tests through the internet, download, copy, print them, and take with me. Or can find interesting didactic materials which can be used in our everyday life. For example, I will show you one of my didactic materials. About 2 years ago, I was participating in a very interesting training course, and during the course it was online version. There was a topic how to teach grammar, and they tell me while searching something on the internet, I found out a very interesting activity which can be used, and while doing it, I just took some kinds of sticks My main topic was about the present perfect and about the simple past. These were just when I found them through internet. How can I some ideas there was during online lessons, or how can be it was just described in an electronic book. I tried to make it just to transfer it into a real word. And what have I done? I just took sticks, right, in order to practice grammar, especially simple past and present perfect, with my students. In one side of the stick, I wrote, for example, simple past. On the other side, I have a subject, I have a predicate and the object. What was my purpose? My students had to choose one stick, read what test is required, then make up sentence with it. Everything was taken from the ebooks, and it was really very interesting one and was very useful one. And I can make it in different kinds of different cases, and every time just my students are more and more interested in it, and can be such kind of, let's say, didactic materials used in different lessons. It depends on what age, everything. And ebooks you can just use, because sometimes these electronic books have many materials with audio. I can also use them, and why not? Sometimes for practicing the audio, I can use some videos or some materials, which gives me an opportunity just to know and find out more and more information I am interested in and my students are interested in. And it can be we just can deliver, or in some countries, the information, there are many fairy tales in textbooks, and I can just have the electronic book with audio or with the cartoon and see and watch with my students and improve their skills in this case, in this field too. And also, when we say technologies, we just the first thing that we go through is computer or internet. But it's not only the one we can improve. It can be beneficial for learning and teaching English language. It can be internet. It can be audio devices, social interface, television, telephone, everything that we can use in order to have to use like this technology like a tool to use during our lessons. And in some cases, we can just say that these tools, it can be like a source of information, it can be communication, it can be technology, and it can be like something that has advantages for learning the language. It can be a tool in language context. It can be interactive, multimedia. It can be computer. It can be everything. For example, let's take the telephone. Telephone, we can say that just is a tool of communication, but it can be used for language teaching because of the poor quality of analog transmissions. And there is a new invent of digital quality, which gives us lower connection cost, which is potential for conference calls. For example, or I can just download a program to my telephone, which helps me to practice some grammar activities, and I can or just use and practice vocabulary, new words. In some cases, we can say that can have also social interface, because in this case, it provides a facility or example that enables an interactive between human and computer. We can just have a writing voice, touch, eye movement, or other gestures which can be used in order just to have more and more interaction. And in some cases, we use also interactive whiteboards, which is a large interactive display. And through the projector, the computer's desktop, we can just have different kinds of presentations. I can make, for example, this presentation, I can just transfer to a whiteboard, interactive whiteboard, and use it in order to make my lessons more interesting, using different kinds of activities which students just not only just watch but also are able in some cases. For example, here I can input tools which gives me an opportunity to write or to change or to make a new or to draw, to paint something on the screen. And I can give a very simple example. For example, my students having just pictures and also their names and ask them, please students, match all of them. And my students very quickly, they just match them. And my is very interesting for them because they use the technology through telephones, through computers, or different kinds of other devices in order just to practice their language learning. Or I will say, please listen to the audio and repeat the phrases. And in this case also, the technology gives me an opportunity just to develop the listening skills and speaking skills because I listen and repeat the phrases, two skills at the same time. Or after listening and speaking and repeating the one, I can say just make up or read the words at the same time or write the words or make up sentences with the words, and everything just gives an opportunity my students to improve and also at the same time to develop their learning skills, especially in language. And I wanted to see about the internet also, to mention about the internet too, when we have learning activities and especially communicative active communication between two different people from different countries. Just I can have a friend or I can have a teacher who is a native speaker and who always just we can meet through internet, have a meeting or have a lesson with them, and I can just interact and learn language. And also, it was, for example, difficult thing maybe 2 3 years ago to connect and to just have language practice with native speakers. Nowadays, it's very easy one, and due to internet and technology, we can do this one. And also, we can just improve our learning skills. It says that these technological tools just are a good helper for learners because it connects teachers, learners, didactic materials, time and space. Everything is like a planet which gives which is very shiny and gives different kinds of rays which help learners to make their learning process more interesting and more interactive one. And I want also to say about this main ways uh, how we use informative information and communication technologies in language learning. And first of all, we can say that it has an important role as a media bridging and enabling the learning process or direct communication between students and teacher when they are not present in the same room, but the technology gives an opportunity just to have. For example, I can teach, have foreign students from different countries, and due to computer, due to these technologies, I can teach them, but we are not in the same country. We are not in the same room. And it can be just used as a reference book because computer can store unlimited lessons or references which can be accessed anytime, anywhere, and accurately. And in some cases, we can just use it in order to, it can be created in order just to enable students to learn the lessons with guidance, instruction, information, or further explanation. And many scholars or scientists, researchers have done different kinds of observation in this field. And let us to pay attention to the 7 ways in which these technologies can be used for learning language. The first one is presentation. Some materials, such as text-based materials, audio, video, needs to present to the learners because it helps learners in understanding the material well. It doesn't matter that in this case I can have short material. I can go search and find many different kind of presentation and show my students. For example, I am explaining how the plant grows. Many times I can explain, but then I put a video where my students see how the plant is growing and what happens while growing. And it's enough because my students will know next time when we just plant a tree, how it can be just taken care of and how is it grown, and etc. The next one is practice. It can be provided with different kinds of technologies, incorporating the presentation stimuli in varying combinations of text, audio, and video format. As I have mentioned, today I was teaching Armenian and Indian students informal letters. I used voice messages, I used presentation, I used video of one of the students, and also at the same time, we use some kinds of visual materials in order to explain them. And then, as a practice, after watching, after being explained, both country students started to write these informal letters, trying to just practice. And then, after it, we can just say that they are practiced and can use these materials. The next one is computer-aided assessment, which is just playing important role, especially in foreign language teaching and learning, because it used to testing and assessing students' understanding after some learning some courses. In many online schools, there are tests when after each level, there are tests which are computer-aided and gives an opportunity automatically just to check the student's abilities in, for example, listening or just in general. Is he going to be a student of beginner, elementary, intermediate, or other maybe higher level? And this computer-aided assessment gives can give a score or something which when we do such kind of test at the end we can get a certificate just certifying that we have this level. And also it's very important about the authoring, because in applying with the tools in language learning, teacher can just either purchase ready-made materials or create their own one. For example, in textbook, I can have, for example, model word, which is not let's say, presented, and I can use my own materials in order to know what is going on. And in this case, these materials may be very beneficial because maybe it will be very usable for beginners, but not for the starters. That's why I can just adapt, I can change and use my own ones. And one of them is also about the publishing, because these tools exist to help teachers and learners or students just to publishing or link their work in a local area network. It can be used by teacher or learners just to have to record, to publish, or just to use the digital camera or PowerPoint, for example. In many cases for making presentation, we just do it. Or even we can create web pages, blogs, or podcasts, which can be used in order to learn and to understand and to practice our language skills. And at last, technology just helps for communication, because it can learners and teachers can communicate with each other. It can be, for example, email. I can email or message my student and then the other one, or it can be computer-mediated discussion, video conferencing, web-based communication, anything that I can gives me an opportunity to have a communication and to do communicate and to realize communicative act. And in this case, communication just can be improved and developed and makes my students be more motivated and more integrated and engaged in different kind of communication processes. And the most important in this case is that computer can act as a stimulus with generous analysis, critical thinking, discussion, and writing. Because I can have the programs that I'm, for example, studying in order to learn this any other language. For example, I'm going to learn French. In this case, it can be effective. Like I can have different kind of stimulating tests. About the learning words or vocabulary, I can use pictures, I can use audios, I can use just gapping fills, matching, or everything which is can be automatically and can be stimulating, and it can just give me an opportunity in order just to mix everything in and learn everything. And in this case, just if we sum up everything that I have mentioned here, we can say that information required will be more quickly, easily accessible for education process. It can be innovation in learning because nowadays the demand of using technology increases and increasing. And in order, this progress will allow the development of virtual classroom or classroom-based teleconference between two different and more countries. And also it can be just a system administration in an institution, which will be more easily and smoothly because here we are going to use the ICTs. And as I have mentioned, all the technologies just they have their like a two sides of the coin. Yes, when we say that every coin has two sides or black and white, it also has its disadvantages. And it can just progress of, for example, tools, such kind of technologies will also cure of violation of intellectual property. Because sometimes we say that usage of such kind of too many technologies at the same time, we just don't, we force violence in some cases. There is a lot of violence towards the brain, thinking or making own decisions, etc. And also it can be negative impact of television is to train children to just to think short. Just imagine if many years ago we could do some kinds of sums, go shopping, and we sum something. Nowadays we just take our telephones, try to do some kinds of sums in order to know is it right or wrong. We can just say that in this case it's a disadvantage because everything we just based on the thing which is easy, which is quicker for us, but let's let it be the disadvantage in some cases, but it has also many advantages for us because it provides opportunities for students in the era of global competition, and it needs to obtain adequate supplies through innovative technologies. And on the other hand, our mental attitude and self-reliance in assessing any information necessary learning independently influence the value teaching and students' character. It doesn't always depend with others because we can use this one in order to make our presentation and also our teaching learning process more effective one. But at the same time, definitely we have different kinds of disadvantages. That's why in any case, my advice is just to keep the balance between them. The balance of usage of information and communication technologies, because maybe if we use much, it will have negative influence. But if we use it fewer time or little, it also can have negative influence on our learning. That's why try to keep the advantage, the balance between these two, maybe let's say positive, negative things together. But everything, I think in this case, we can just choose the ones, should plan our lessons, and the choice of technologies in our learning process, it should be just meaningful, beneficial, and effective one. In order, because we teachers, we are creators, and we try to create more and more lessons, choosing more meaningful materials, technological tools in order to make, and also in order to just support and to help our students learn the language easier and easier, but not so much easier that they will only just depend on the technologies. That's why keep balance in everything, and everything will be okay. Thanks.
Okay, teacher Alessa, we appreciate a lot your attendance, your participation, your time, because in spite of we are talking about technology, it hasn't been easy to keep a good connectivity today. But as you said, there are many advantages when including technology in classrooms. And your speech makes me think that we as teachers, we aren't alone in the classroom, right? Um, we aren't alone as keepers of knowledge in the classroom because we have those advantages, right? That technology, and we can be the guys that the right guys that shape meaningful educational experiences for our students, helping them engage with these learning tools. It's not impossible. In spite of we have or we face difficulties in our country, in Colombia, or I don't know if you identify some of our problems. And for example, in education, we don't have enough resources, and the most of the schools, our students don't have access to technology, and even they don't have a computer in the classroom. But it's not impossible, as you said. Okay, teacher, again, thank you so much for your participation and for your meaningful speech for us.
Thank you also very much for the invitation and being here. Thank you, first of all, my friends from Colombia, for trust and for the invitation. I was very glad to be here and to share my experience and knowledge in this sphere. Thank you very much.
Okay, Vilma.
Teacher Alessa, some of our students have a very interesting question. Do you speak Spanish?
No, I don't speak.
Okay, how many languages do you speak?
I know my language, Armenian. I know a Russian language because I have graduated Russian secondary school. I know English, French, a little, very little German, and I have started learning Japanese now.
Okay, so they are asking about if it's possible that you give them some clues, some advices in order to learn languages in a very good way and in an easy way. It's not easy, but some advice. I don't know if you can do it.
Yes, I can recommend something. Being as a language teacher, I remember when I was teaching many years ago. It was about 10 and more years ago. In order to understand the psychology of students, I started learning Spanish language. It was 10 and more. Nowadays, I don't remember any words because it was just a short course that I took with the help of one of my friends in order to understand the psychology. Because just imagine a situation, you can explain the students everything, and you think that it's a very easy topic. For example, let's take to be Emizar. It's very easy one. How you can understand this one? But we don't take into account the other things that to be the construction of to be is very easy for me, but not for the student who doesn't know anything with a starter, for example, at learning English. In this case, that's why I started learning it in order to understand. What was interesting one, I have faced many difficulties in this sphere because teacher explained me some rules. I said, yes, it's very okay. I understand. But when I came home and started doing my homework, I faced many difficulties because really at that moment, I used to say to my teachers that if you are with me, I am more motivated and I am more self-confident because you are with me and you can just help me any case when I need you. But then I try to find really some solutions for it and starting using. What can you do? First of all, if you wanted to learn a foreign language, start about learning why, about the purpose. Why do you need to learn this language? Because nowadays, in some cases, when I ask this question to my students, they just say, English is an international language. It may be helpful one day. No, it can't be helpful for you because you can attend any kind of English lessons, but at the same time, you have no purpose and it's not motivating for you. That's why start learning. The first thing that I would recommend, start learning the language when you really need it. Need for job, I don't know, need for your education, need for traveling. It can be need for even being a speaker or publishing an article in other foreign language, for example, in English. In this case, it will be reasonable. Then try to find uh, if you wanted a tutor or teacher, try to find the one who is very experienced in it. Because I can know, for example, I can say that I know Russian language very well because I have graduated Russian and I speak very fluently in Russian language, even having Russian students whom I teach English language. But it isn't a reason for me to teach Russian language. Really, I have no student whom I can teach Russian because I know the language, but I am not a teacher of that field. The next one, um, the choice of right textbooks. Don't base only the materials that you usually get from your teacher or trainer. You have your learning process should be consist of two different kinds of ways. The first one will be based on your teacher, and the second one it's your own work. I can go attend any kind of lessons, but at the same time, when I am at home, I should research, find materials, videos, audios. I think that nowadays technologies have so much developed, and you can find on YouTube different kinds of videos. For example, I have started learning Japanese language, but I don't base the ones that my teacher says. I just Google on the YouTube how can I learn Japanese, and many audios, many videos there are where I try to practice my audio or find new words and try not to say, for example, next time my teacher or when we see, I say konnichiwa just to greet him. No, I try to find and I say, for example, konnichiwa sensei, for example, Yoko, and my teacher is very surprised. How can you find? And I say, I try to improve something. Try to. And start listening many audios and start watching, start with not films, but with cartoons. There are many different cartoons with subtitles which you can just watch them because the films maybe the speech will be quicker and not understandable. It can be just mix one and you can't, in some cases, how I can't, because there are subtitles, but I can't manage to just follow. Start with cartoons, with fairy tales, and also with short stories. And also videos. There are many different kind of short videos. For example, for learning English, sometimes I advise my students to watch an American film, Friends, which is very simple one, which is sometimes there are subtitles or some films which are for teenagers. I can advise you a film, but it can be not interesting for you. That's why you can just ask and try to find some film which will be interesting for me. I have doctors, students for ESP English. Sometimes I try to find videos for them which is from their sphere in order to be just to have a mixture for their profession and also for English one. And it's very interesting one. And also listen to TED Talks. There are many TED Talkers whose speech is very fluent one, and also whose speech is very simple one, and also with the subtitles that you can just follow. And one of the most interesting things that you have here, that you have just to follow about it, find friends, find foreign friends. Just I wanted to introduce you one of my projects where I am one of the active participants of this project. In one of the projects, every Friday, it comes 8 a.m., if I'm not mistaken, by New York time. We gather teachers from 40, 50 countries. And every teacher brings how many students you want, you can bring. In this case, there is no limitation. And there is a certain topic. We divide into breakout rooms and go to breakout rooms. For example, I can be a teacher from Armenia, but can have 10 students from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, I don't know, Philippines, etc. And we start discussion with these students for about 40, 50 minutes. It's a real, let's say, environment for students. That's why. And I know I have many students who have foreign friends. Some of them even are native speakers or just know English very well. They have not only pen pal version, but also sometimes they organize Zoom meetings or even call to each other to practice. Your teacher can be experienced one. Your teacher can be a very good, experienced and well. She can or he can know her language or his language very well. But your first, let's say, point for learning is communication. Start communicating and start learning language without any kind of fear that you can't. No one was born with the ability of speaking English fluently. No one can speak English without being an American or an English one or the one whose native language is English language. No, you should teach, you should just be learned on your mistakes. We, even teachers, we can do a pronunciation mistake. We can know we are English teachers, but there are many words that we can't know, or the words that we haven't, for example, used for 3-4 years, it can be forgotten one. That's why don't be afraid of learning language. Don't be afraid of being mistaken. Don't be afraid of just working hard. Everything, the beginning of everything is very hard. But then when you score higher, you always just enjoy your harvest that you get, that you will definitely will have one day. That's why everything is okay. Just don't be afraid of just trying, working, enjoying, because everything one day you will be in another country speaking English and you will say, oh, how well is really, it's very okay because I know English very well. That's why be always motivated and inspired without any fear.
Oh, it sounds really, really interesting, but really, really difficult too. But okay, so we are really happy because your ideas are great for us, for our university. So, Teacher Yolanda, I don't know if we finish with the teacher Alessa. So, uh, from my words, so thank you very much for this, for all of this, and thank you for all your great ideas in order to improve in our teaching and in our language teaching process too. Okay, Teacher Yolanda, Teacher Wilmar, yes, okay. So thank you very much,
Thank
dear
you very
Teacher
much.
Alessa.
Thank you, teacher, again.
So,
Okay, I'm
We
going
hope
to share my
so let's see you again. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, everybody can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Wilma, go ahead.
Hello, could you please give the direct to me? Okay, can you see my screen or not yet? Can you or not?
I'm sharing my
Hello,
screen.
Wait a second, please.
yours or mine?
Yours.
No, maybe yours.
Okay,
Did
okay,
you
I'm going to
adjust?
share.
Okay, I prefer
Okay,
yours
can you
because
see
I
it?
prefer that you adjust presentation. Okay. No, not yet.
Can you see it or not?
Yes.
Not yet. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
You see my presentation on Teams or not?
Yes.
Okay, is the slide to present the professor? Okay, okay, thank you very much. So hello everyone, welcome to our professor Maha Olender. She is from Poland and we are going to introduce her. She is an experienced and passionate teacher with a love for working with children. She studied a BA in English Philology, a Master in English Language Didactics, and a Master in English Philology. Teacher as a teaching English as a foreign language, qualified with more than 20 years teaching experience, teaching online multi and monolingual students from ages of 6 to adults. Focus on providing an innovative, fun, and inspiring classroom, encouraging students to master English while also nurturing their love for the language. She has a wide experience as English teacher in different multilingual environments, teaching ages from 5 to 14. She is also an editor at Schoola, writing and designing activities for educational platform. So now we are going to welcome Professor Maha Olender from Poland. So thank you very much and let's listen to her presentation.
Teacher Wilmar, so please wait for 3 minutes. There is a big storm in Poland so right now, so please wait 2 minutes in order that she can restart the computer.
Okay, okay. So we are going to wait for 3 minutes because there is an internet connection problem in Poland. So could you please wait for 2 or 3 minutes in order to start the presentation of Professor Maha Olender. Thank you very much.
Okay, I invite you to take a 5 minutes break. Yeah, a 5 minutes break, and after that we are going to continue with Teacher Maya. That she's restarting the computer because there is a storm in Poland right now. So take a 5 minutes break, please.
This is a good opportunity to see that we aren't the only one with this kind of connectivity problems. And Wilmar, hello.
Hello.
What do you think about teacher Alessa? Yes, teacher Alessa. For me, it was very interesting to see that everything that she said is very similar to our advantages or our the ideas that we have for our students, right?
I just wanna say thank you to Professor Alessa because her presentation was really great. She talked about a lot of different aspects in order to learn English and also how to teach English using ICT. And there are a lot of different strategies that we apply here in Colombia that are applied around the world, but sometimes it's a little bit complicated because some schools, as you said before, they don't have like the computers or all the technology aspects in order to apply them in a very, we don't have the resources to apply them in a very good form or in a very good way. But Professor Alessa says a lot of interesting ideas in order to apply another strategy or to apply other activities in order to teach English, and also students can implement those ideas and they can have like different activities to learn it in a very good form. As she said, she was learning Japanese, but she tried to learn not only from the teacher or the professor, but she only took other strategies to learn it. So sometimes students here or in many other places, they just apply what the teachers say and they don't go beyond. I mean, they don't go on the internet, or probably they don't use the social media, or they don't use like another activities to learn English. For example, if you want to learn English, or if you want to learn, for example, Japanese, Chinese, Russian, or any other language, you can watch movies, you can listen to music, you can also go on Instagram or Facebook, you can watch news. So there are a lot of different activities that you can implement in order to learn that language. And that was what the Professor Alessa said before. And it was an interesting idea in order to motivate people to learn languages, not only as a subject, because sometimes we say, for example, English is a subject, so we need to pass English 1, English 2, or English 3, or we have to pass beginner and advanced English, but we need to realize that English is not only a subject or a language, it's a way of life. So we need to apply that, and we are going to learn a lot of different activities, and we are going to learn more about different culture if we try in that way, as the professor said. So I'm really happy that she shared those ideas with us. So thank you very much.
And yes, you are right, Wilmar. And the other interesting part that she said is, or the importance that that has when we establish the real purpose and the clear purpose of learning. Because when we recognize what is my purpose, my objective, we can achieve that. And other interesting part is that we as teachers have the duty about designing the right strategies or the correct strategies when students don't have connectivity. I mean, offline, when they are offline, what kind of materials we as teachers can design in order to overcome that problem, okay? Because as you know, everybody knows, we have, for example, in Colombia, we have a very big problem related to technology and connectivity. For example, if we see this meeting, has had many difficulties because of the same result, right? But there is idea. The idea is to try to advance and to create new possibilities for our students, right?
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes we as teachers or as a professors, we have a lot of interesting activities or we have a lot of interesting ideas to implement in our classes. But sometimes the computer doesn't work, the internet connection doesn't work. So sometimes it's a little bit complicated to implement those ideas. But what we have to do is to motivate students to learn English by their own. I mean, they can be independent in learning English in a lot of different fields, like watching TV, watching movies, listening to music. And that's a great idea for them because they are going to learn in the way they like. I mean, if I like music, if I listen to some pop music or rock music, I'm going to be more interested in learning that. Actually,
Okay,
when I
right.
was like 16 years old, I didn't like English, but I really liked football. And I entered to the internet to look for information about my football team. And that was the way I started learning English because I was interested in that topic. So students, they can look for information on the internet or on social media about their likes or preferences, and they are going to enjoy those activities a little bit more. That's what we have to do. Instead of learning or teaching just the subject, verb, complement, past simple, present perfect, going to, we have to learn languages to use it in a real life. We have to use English or we have to use another language based on the context we are now or the context we want to be in the future.
Yeah. And what do you think when
Okay.
communities? Okay, Edison. Okay. Teacher Maha is ready.
She's trying to start. So right now, I invite you to share this time with a short video. Yeah, while the teacher Maya comes. So because she's trying to go in, but I'm going to share a short video while we were waiting for her. Okay, that's good.
Yes.
Una vez ingrese, de una vez le damos paso. Vamos a compartir el video mientras que le damos. Apenas ella ingrese, paramos y le damos ingreso.
Okay. Creo que está sin sonido. Without sound.
We cannot listen to the video.
It was a pity, but we really have connectivity problems, right?
People are not listening to the video. They cannot listen to the video on YouTube.
Sorry, we'll use it. So, okay. In order to continue with the activities, because we have lots of problems with the connectivity in all the countries, I invite you to ask 2 questions into the chat, and we are going to share your comments in the chat online. So the first question is, why do you think technology is important in English teaching? Do you get the question, Teacher Wilmar? It is possible to write into the video.
Again, please. What do you think that technology? Again, please.
Is important in English teaching, on English learning. Sorry, in English learning. And talk about your experience learning English. So we want to ask these questions for your participation right now, and we are going to start a short workshop with these 2 questions. So I invite to all the participants to answer these questions, and we are going to try to discuss with the answer that they gave. Hello? Is it possible? Okay, good.
I already wrote the questions in the chat on YouTube, so we are still waiting for the participants to give the answers about that.
Okay, of course. You have a minute in order to start the discussion. The idea is to try to do a brainstorming about the technology, the influence of technology in English learning, in language learning. Okay, this is the idea. So we invite to all the participants to share your answers if it's possible in English. If you don't, you can use Spanish, no problem with this. Okay. Okay, Andres Camilo said, oh no, sorry, it's not a question. It's not an answer for the question. It's just a request.
We already got an answer from Stephanie. Stephanie is a student from English 2, and she said, her answer was, why it is important to use technology? And she said, because technologies help us advance. They help us facilitate, and internet can help us learning through interactive platforms. That's a very good answer. So Rafael said, technology is important because it's a priority to help people learn the English language. So both said that we can use English to learn using different platforms, and they can be innovative and they can use it in different forms.
I have to Andres. Andres said that, teacher, I think that technology is very important because it facilitates, okay, gets easy the process for the autonomous process. Okay, yes, that's it. The technology is helps to the personal formation in language. Yeah, and we can learn any language using technology. Oh, that's a good clue. Yeah, that's a great idea. Do you have any else? I have another for Camilo. Camilo said, my personal experience in language is not very good. I need to learn a lot because all my teachers, perhaps my teachers don't use the right way to learn. Oh my God. It's very hard for us. Yeah, I suppose that at the school, not at the university. That's great. Do you have another participation, Wilmar, teacher Wilmar?
Yes, we do. We have another participation here. We have Laura Valentina Rico. She said, the advantage of implementing technology in learning is that it provides with many tools to learn it, such as applications, videos, art, and others. Julian Camilo says, this is a globalized world and technology gives us many resources to learn English, not just English. For example, we can speak with native speakers in an easier way. I mean, what he said probably is that you can use English not only in a formal way, but also you can use English in the context. It means you can use different slangs, idioms, etc., right? Rafael says it's a priority to help people around the world. Valeria says, because learning is self-directed, that is cultivated out of self-curiosity. That's a very good answer. If you are curious about something, you look for that on the internet or another source, and it stimulates your own criteria and independence. In addition, they have a great attraction that is dynamism and interaction. You see? So they are basically talking about different aspects that we can have into account, like, for example, stimulation and independence. You see? If you like an aspect that other people don't like, is your preference. So if you like that, you can look for more information about that, and you're going to learn about that specific field or that specific topic. Because technology, Valentina says, because technology is a part of everyday life, and it is a tool that makes processes easier. So if you want to have like an easier life in different processes, not only in education, but also in your real life, you can use English, and also you can combine that with technology.
Eliana said that she learned English with music, and her brother learned English with video games. Those are very interesting alternatives to learn English. So you can do it. Interesting. That's interesting. Okay, do you have another one, Teacher Wilmar?
Yes, sure. Give me the direct, please, in order to talk. Okay, thank you very much. We have Juan Camilo Lopez. He said, I think that technology is the future in our generation, and we need to know the good way to have this tool in any environment. Okay, that's a great answer, Julian Camilo. Thank you. Maria Camila Sanabria said, technology has been booming. Has been booming. I mean, like a boom, which has led to changes in learning. For English, it's very important to be interactive, to have interactive tools that have been created that allowed autonomous learning, but the most important thing is that has allowed us to connect and learn directly from native speakers. Okay, that's a great answer, Maria Camila. We have Juan Esteban, because with technology nowadays, it's not only possible to learn one language, but the one that I like the most and is interesting, and I think that is something important for our progress in English. Okay, thank you, Juan Esteban. Cristian Camilo said, because technology is a tool, you see, many people don't see English such a subject, but they can see that as a real life or as a tool that we can use in our lives. So he says that it's a tool that facilitates learning since we have many resources. For example, we can learn English with foreign people online, either by calling or by video games. Okay, there are many people who enjoy video games nowadays, and they can learn English in that way. Okay, that's a good answer. Fabian David, because nowadays technology has helped many students to facilitate learning through some very interactive platforms. Okay, Fabian says, we can say that the world is becoming global each time, since we can find many resources to learn several languages, including English. Okay, that's great. Maria Camila says, my personal experience, she's going to talk about her personal experience. My personal experience learning English has been good because it makes the language a little easier for me. But I prefer it to be face-to-face learning and not virtual. So in her opinion, she prefers like face-to-face and not the virtual learning. And we don't have like more comments in the chat.
Okay, that's good. So in this way, so I'm going to give you that Professor Maya said, sorry, I can't join now because the storm is very hard. I'm going to send the video with the presentation to watch it afterwards, perhaps this afternoon. So in this way, yeah, we are going to present the video. Perhaps this afternoon are going to be online for you in order to complete the information. So in this way, so we can say, so thank you very much for you to come in this activity. So thank you for your participation, for your patience, and for all the participants, for all the guest people too. Teacher Yolanda, if you want to say something to finish.
No, there is all for today, because we close with those questions, right? I don't know if we have any other activity? No?
No.
Okay, so as teacher Edison said, I appreciate a lot your participation, your attendance, your time, your commitment to this kind of activities, which are very important for us, for our university and for the program, for the new program. Okay. So bye bye. I see you.
Thank you very much and goodbye. See you soon.
Wilmar. Hello, Wilmar.
Hello. Hello.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
I don't know. Do we have to cut the dialect, or I don't know how does it work? I don't know.
Okay, I have class this afternoon, so I have to go, and I have to go to pick up my baby because she's almost here.
Okay, thank you. Do we have to go offline, or I don't know?
No, I suppose that we can.
Just hand. Okay, bye bye.
Auntie here, okay. Ya, Diana.
Hello.
¿Cierto? Ya. No.
Ya respirar. Uy, qué angustia, Dios mío.
No. Por Dios.
Pero bueno, eso es lo importante, ya todo bien. Siga, vale.
¿Cómo se corta? Ahí está en directo todavía, Yolanda está todavía en directo. Ahí.
¿Cómo se veía, Wilma?
No se ve bien, solamente que Yolanda todavía tiene el directo ahí, entonces de pronto sale ahorita más tardecito, como YouTube, un minuto después.
No lo estamos transmitiendo en ningún lado, ya está cancelado, ¿listo? Tranquilo. Muy bien.
Muchas gracias, profe Diana, por todo.
Bueno, aquí todos sufrimos.
Ay, no. Y qué sufrimiento, menos mal que la profe Alexa salvó la patria.
Ahí todavía están apareciendo los subtítulos en YouTube. Ahí como cuando me dijiste hola, Wilmar, ahí está saliendo todavía en YouTube.
Colguemos entonces, chao.
Sí, chao, bye bye, chao.